On the 16th of April, NIO's CEO went off in a rant about Tesla, how much Tesla cars are old and suck, and said that NIO would never discount its prices to compete with Tesla because they simply don't need to. Well, it turns out a month later, he's changed his mind. In fact, less than a month later. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. Great to see you. Thank you for tuning in. I've gone on about this story a little bit because I don't really understand why one CEO feels the need to attack another. I feel like you only do that if you're standing on a weak platform yourself. You don't need to do that if your product is actually compelling enough. If it's compelling enough, it will sell itself. If a product is great, customers will buy it. I just don't think there's any need to attack other people. And NIO's CEO has done that on numerous occasions. I know a lot of people here are fans of NIO and they'll say, you don't know what you're talking about. I've gotten that response to my comments in the past. Apparently I have no idea about NIO and what's going on with it. Now, I do know their sales are pretty average. I mean, if you just have a look at NIO's sales over the past 5 months, they've been, well, no better than what they were 2 years ago. Truthfully, the company hasn't really grown its sales. And you would think that it would because it now sells cars in Europe. But no one is really buying them in Europe. They haven't really taken off. Now that may change when NIO starts selling the new ET5 in 3 days from now in Europe. Hopefully that car's a success. I absolutely love it. It's a brilliant looking car. In fact, I think NIO makes some great cars. They do. They make great cars. Price is a little high for most people. That's probably one of the reasons that NIO has struggled. Now, NIO has probably also struggled because historically they haven't made their own electric cars. They've used a contract manufacturer called JAC to make their cars. Now, JAC actually makes their own cars as well. Now, NIO will be making their own cars very soon. They've got a big factory being built right now. In fact, a couple of factories being built right now. So they may certainly succeed in the future. However, they have finally capitulated and changed their minds on their strategy. There's a new report that's just been released from a very, very pro NIO website, CNAV Post. They do post very pro NIO articles, many of them, who are saying that NIO have just decided to reduce prices of all models by $4,200. That's a fairly significant amount, especially when they've just revealed their brand new vehicles that they say will basically revolutionize the company, and they will sell a lot of them, which I hope they do because they're actually very good. Now, in addition to that, NIO says its order intake has hit a year-to-date high with the launch of the ES6. Confirmed orders for the ES6 accounted for 35 to 40% of new orders in May, meaning inflows since the model's launch in the last week of May have been quite meaningful, according to Morgan Stanley. In other words, I think a little bit below expectations. The new ES6 is absolutely critical for NIO to turn around its weak sales performance. So what has the model contributed to NIO since its launch? A new research note from Morgan Stanley provides a good idea. NIO's overall new order intake has hit a year-to-date high. That was boosted by the ES6, but I mean, this sort of happens when you have any new model come to market, especially when it's affordable. However, the ES6 has a starting price in China of $52,000. That means it's NIO's cheapest electric SUV, but it's still well beyond the price range of most buyers. NIO said this about actual store traffic. Overall store traffic at the stores we track is back to the level seen this February, but still 20% below last September's level when the company rolled out the ET5. Now, this comes in the wake of historical massive sales of EVs in China. I mean, the market is completely blown up there. NEV retail was up 10.5% month over month. Now, year over year, it's a completely different story. But EV growth rates are insane in China right now. 580,000 were delivered in May. And a rising tide, well, what does that do to all ships? Generally, all ships rise with the tide, but not in NIO's case. In the month of May, NIO delivered 6,155 EVs, less than they delivered in the same month last year, and less than they delivered in the same month of the previous year. In the month of April, NIO delivered 6,658 electric cars, which was less than they delivered 2 years ago. To be fair, NIO did increase its quarterly revenue in the first 3 months of the year, from around $1.45 billion to $1.55 billion US dollars, but that was significantly less than Wall Street analysts thought that they would make. And it's down 33.5% from the fourth quarter of 2022. In fact, in the first quarter of this year, NIO sold slightly less vehicles than it did in the first quarter of 2022, which is a surprise considering the Chinese EV market is growing quickly. The other challenge here is that NIO's gross margins are very, very low, 1.5% on automotive, but it still makes a loss on every EV it sells, technically. Purely electric car sales in China, as in not hybrids or anything else, just purely electric cars, not plug-in hybrids, had 390,000 deliveries in the month of May in China. That's growth of around 30% versus May last year. So many EV company sales are booming. And that includes some of NIO's competitors, such as Aion. Now, I personally think for NIO, they've got some great products. Discounting by $4,000 US dollars, probably a good strategy. But criticizing and going off on your competitors, not such a great strategy. I don't think that's going to win any hearts or minds. But hey, I could be wrong. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you for watching.